low beam and high beam. On both sides, they are both properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken, free of debris, and they're all the proper color. Underneath my tractor, we have no leaks or puddles or hanging wires. We have our upper radiator hose and AC hoses, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken, cut or frayed, or leaking. We have our belt-driven alternator, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken, no missing bolts or loose wires. The belt itself is not cut or frayed, no more than 3/4 of an inch of free play. The exhaust from front to back of the tractor, it's properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken or leaking. No signs of soot, which indicate leaks. We have our coolant reservoir, water pump, and lower radiator hose, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken or leaking. The water pump is belt driven and the reservoir is filled to proper level. We have your oil fill cap and dipstick, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken, filled to proper level. We have our air lines and air compressor, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken, cut or frayed or leaking, and the air compressor is gear driven. Behind the frame, we also have our power steering pump and we have our power steering hoses. They are properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken, cut or frayed or leaking, and the power steering pump is also gear driven. We have our gearbox and reservoir, properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken. Both are not leaking, and the reservoir is filled to proper level. Then we have our pitman arm, drag link, tie rod and tie rod ends with castle nut and cotter pin. They are all properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken. Now we're going to do suspension. Front and rear spring mount, leaf springs, U-bolts, and shock absorber. Properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken. The springs are not shifted, and my shock absorber is not leaking. Now we're going to do brakes. Brake hose, ABS line, brake chamber. Properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken or leaking. We have our push rod slack adjuster with clevis and cotter pins. Properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken. No more than 1 inch of free play when the brakes are released. Inside we have the wheel, we have our brake drum and brake lining, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken, not worn, dangerously thin. We move out to the tire. It is inflated to manufacturer specifications. The condition is not cut or no cuts or bulges on the side, and there is no less than 4/32 of depth on the tire. We have our rim and valve stem, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken. The valve stem is not leaking, and there is no illegal welds on the rim. Lug nuts and studs are properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken or missing. There is no rust trails or shiny shavings to indicate looseness. Then we have our inner and outer hub oil seal, properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken or leaking, filled to proper level. 3 functions: turn signal, 4-way flashers, marker light, properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken, proper color. Mirror mount, door handle, door seal, door hinges. They are all properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken. The door seal is not ripped or torn. Our steps, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken, free of debris. DEF tank, properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken or leaking. Cap is on tight, and I have no less than 1/8 of a tank. Here I have my BC Rated 10 fire extinguisher, properly mounted and secure, fully charged with the pin in it. We have our spare fuses and 3 reflective triangles, not cracked or broken or missing. We have our fuel tanks and cap, properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken or leaking. The caps are on tight. We have our steps and catwalk, cross members, and the frame, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken. free of debris, no illegal welds on the frame. We also have our torque arm, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken. We have our splash guard, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken or missing. In between the frame, we have our drive shaft with U-joints, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken. You can repeat the exhaust if you want. Properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken or leaking, no signs of soot to indicate leaks. Then here we have our service line, emergency air line, and electric line, properly mounted from the rear of the tractor to the front of the trailer. The air lines are properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken or leaking. Glad hands are not leaking. And my electrical has 7 prongs or pins, properly lubricated, not cracked or broken or missing. And the safety latch is not cracked or broken or missing. Okay, let's see. Now we're gonna move on to suspension here. We have our spring mount, bushing, leaf spring, U-bolts, shock absorber, airbag, and airbag mounts. They are all properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken. The spring is not shifted. My shock absorber and my airbag are not leaking. Now we're gonna do brakes again. We have our brake hose, ABS line, brake chamber, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken or leaking. Push rod slack adjuster with clevis and cotter pins, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken, no more than 1 inch of free play when the brakes are released. Inside the wheel well, we have our brake drum and brake lining, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken, not worn, dangerously thin. Moving on out, we have the tires. Inflation again, manufacturer specification, no cuts or bulges on the side, no less than 2 30-seconds. These tires are there's 2 of them, there's dual, so we have a bud spacing. Free of debris, tires are not rubbing together. Then we have our rim and valve stem again, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken. The valve stem is not leaking, there is no illegal welds on the rim. We have our lug nuts and studs, again properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken or missing. There are no rust trails or shiny shavings to indicate looseness. Then we have our inner and outer axle seal, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken or leaking. Moving on here, you would ask the person testing you, do you want me to say everything again? If he says no, then you would just name the parts and say I would check all these parts the same way I just checked that one. The only difference is this is a hub oil seal, inner and outer. Here we're gonna do a fifth wheel. Starting from the top, we have our skid plates, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken, properly lubricated. There is no space between the apron and the skid plate. Then we have our fifth wheel release arm and sliding pins. Both are properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken. They are both in the locked position. Airline, properly mounted and secured, not cut or frayed or leaking. We have our platform and mounting bolts, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken, no missing bolts. Then we have our locking jaws securely around the shank of the kingpin. They are properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken. That's in between the fifth wheel. Okay, now we're going to finish out in the back of the tractor. We have our mud flap, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken or missing, covered in DOT tape, not ripped or torn. We have our lights. We have our reflectors, reverse lights, turn signals, four-way flashers, marker lights, tail lights, brake lights, and license plate lights. They are all properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken, free of debris, and they are all the proper color. Now we do our trailer. Header board, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken, no cuts or bulges, no holes. Clearance lights, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken, proper color. We have our upper and lower frame rails all around the trailer, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken. We have covered in DOT tape, covering at least 50% of the trailer. Underneath the trailer here, we have the cross members and the floor, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken. There is no holes on the floor. Then we come to our landing gear, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken. The handle is in the cradle. The legs go up and down, and it is raised all the way up. And there is enough room between our landing gear and our tractor for when we turn. function light again, turn signal, four-way flasher, marker light. Properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken, proper color. We have our tandem release arm. Some of the newer trailers have a push button. This has a tandem release arm and sliding pins. Properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken, both in the locked position. Then we start with suspension here. We have a bracket, control arm, shock absorber, airbag, and airbag mounts. They are all properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken. The shock absorber and the airbag are not leaking. Brakes, okay, again, brake hose, ABS line, brake chamber. Properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken or leaking. Push rod slack adjuster, clevis and cotter pin. Properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken. No more than 1 inch of free play when the brakes are released. Now again, we have the brake drum, brake lining, properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken, not worn, dangerously thin. Tires again. We have, again, inflation, manufacturer specifications, no cuts or bulges on the side, no less than 2/32, and bud spacing, free of debris, tires are not rubbing together. Rim and valve stem, properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken. The valve stem is not leaking, no illegal welds on the rim. Lug nuts and studs, properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken or missing. No rust trails or shiny shavings to indicate looseness. Inner and outer hub oil seal, properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken or leaking, filled to proper level. Again, ask him, do you want me to repeat myself? He says yes or no, listen to what he wants. You might have to just say the parts. You would say all the parts, and then say I would check them the same way I check this one. Sometimes they'll say, just tell me you check this the way you check those. Ask, listen to what he wants. If he says that, still say all the parts. Say all the parts, and then say I would check them the same way I check those, okay? Mud flat, properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken, ripped, torn, or missing. Door tie back, not cracked or broken or missing, properly mounted and secure. ABS light, marker light, properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken, proper color. Door hinges, door latches, door tie back, the door itself, properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken. Clearance lights, turn signals, four-way flashers, marker lights, tail lights, brake lights, and license plate light. Properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken, free of debris, and they are all the proper color. DLT bumper covered in DLT tape, properly mounted and secure, not cracked or broken. The tape is not ripped or torn. Then at the end, give yourself a few seconds to make sure you set everything. I would check this side the same way I checked that side. That's it. Thank you.